Hey everyone out there, how's it going? Welcome to Screen Speak. It's the podcast that's all about movies, life, and so much more. My name is Jordan Anderson, this is my podcast, and as always, I want to thank you today for coming by and giving it a listen. For real. There's so many different options out there for podcasts these days, and many of us, including myself, are busy. And we're purposeful as well as mindful about where we decide to spend our time. So that said, I really do thank you for deciding to give some of your valuable time and attention over to ScreenSpeak. It really does matter, and I'm very grateful for it, so thank you very much. Now, while you're here, please go ahead and hit the follow button on whatever it is that you're listening to this on. It not only helps to grow the podcast, but it also helps to grow the audience that this thing reaches. So please go ahead and take just 1 second and hit that follow button. It will really help out tremendously. Now, if you utilize social media, likewise, you can find ScreenSpeak there. Specifically on Instagram and Facebook is where you can connect with not only myself, but also the rest of the ScreenSpeak community. And lastly, and certainly not least, be sure to look at the descriptions of each episode. That's something that I'm not always the greatest about plugging and telling people to pay attention to, but really do pay attention to them when these episodes upload. Because aside from them containing all this plug information that I just mentioned, it also contains useful information on the movies that I talk about, the episode's subject matter, references that are made, and ultimately it's providing you ways to be able to follow and or maybe even network with people that have an interest in film like yourself or are maybe in the world of it, working in it professionally or amateurly, and they're, just connecting with one another. I think that's a really big, important thing. And speaking of that, let me just ramble about this for a moment here, and then we'll continue on with the actual episode, but I think this is worth saying. Connecting with other filmmakers in the filmmaking community is important, especially in my case with people that are in the Iowa filmmaking community. So for my Iowa listeners, I know you'll understand this. It's important that you know that you're not alone in this journey. You're not crazy for having dreams about working in entertainment, and you're not foolish for being a creative yourself and wanting to share and put that side of yourself out there with the world and expecting to be able to make a living out of it. That's not crazy, okay? Takes discipline and work for sure, but it's not crazy, especially being in Iowa, because let's just be real, Iowa is not California, right? It doesn't have the Hollywood Hills, it doesn't have the Walk of Fame, but this is a place that does have passionate people with voices and stories to tell and share. So that being said, tying this back to the descriptions of the episodes, I really do sincerely want to help connect people to others that have an interest in movies, whether that's just a casual interest or a serious one, with each other. The information is out there, like all this information to connect, it's out there for sure. But many times I think people really have a hard time knowing where exactly to look. So if in some way my podcast, aside from its other goals of connecting people to movies and getting them to talk about it and see how it speaks to them, I'd like to help make this aspect easier for you, the connecting side. So when I can, I'm going to share people's Instagram handles, a film distributor's website maybe, a person's email, anything that I can share about them so that you can learn more about them, the projects they're associated with, and how to get a hold of them to collaborate and do something. That is something I think I can help out sincerely with the descriptions of these episodes. So I'm telling you, take a look at them. And something else too, when I'm plugging these people or films or whatever it is that they're working on, people need to make a livelihood to be able to continue to deliver the content that they're bringing out to you, okay? So that means in terms of support, we should try to support them with our wallet when we can, right? Our money. I know it's kind of a big ask sometimes, especially in these trying times, if you will, and with the economy being what it is and inflation, etc. But if you really can support an aspiring filmmaker or someone that really is passionate and is working on a creative project and they need some capital for it, if you can even lend them a little bit on that, that helps tremendously. Or even if it's just your time or words of direct appreciation. And on that last part there, especially, I'm telling you, I realize we all don't have just money laying around to be able to throw at a person's project. I get that. But it doesn't cost you money to say something kind to somebody, especially as a creative, okay? Or people in the creative space. Even if it's just you found their Instagram and you send them a message saying like, hey, I just watched your movie, or I saw something that you worked on and I really liked it and I appreciated what you did and I think you're amazing. Saying that goes a long way, because I think sometimes we forget, creatives especially, that we thrive off of feedback from the audience. We thrive off of positive words of affirmation. They are honestly sometimes things that help keep us going when we think that nobody is watching what we're doing, nobody is giving a shit about anything that we are putting out there, and that we're just doing this for ourselves. That's not true, because really at the end of the day, for whatever our creative pursuit is, we all have to have an audience to put it out there towards. And if we're not hearing from the audience, honestly, what the hell is the point? Okay? All right. So now that you heard all about that and you're thinking about that, I'd like you now to listen to this, which is the main reason why we're here in this episode. This is a great conversation that I recorded at the 2023 Cedar Rapids Independent Film Festival with Jörg, Rochlitzer, executive producer, and Bernd, Wittenben, actor and executive producer in Michael Ackerman's film Reveille, which was an official selection at the Cedar Rapids Independent Film Festival. So let me tell you a little bit about this movie before I talk to you about these guys and what's going to take place in this conversation. So Reveille takes place in late 1943, and it shows an American squad engaging in a skirmish with German soldiers along the winter line in central Italy. Artillery shells begin to rain down, all hell basically is breaking loose, and so the Americans must honor the rules of war and protect their wounded prisoners. And eventually they get huddled together in a cave, and they're made to see the enemy as human. And therefore the soldiers are wrestling with unimaginable moral questions that lie far outside the boundaries of nationality and even allegiance. So this is a movie that was co-produced by Film Farm Iowa, which is located in Wellsburg, Iowa, and all this information again is in the description, so you can learn more about them there. The movie was also supported in partnership with Ellsworth Community College as well as Marshalltown Community College. And there were also several Iowa college students that were hired on as production assistants to work on this movie. And this is definitely a professional feature, certainly a lower budget one, but it definitely is professional in how it was put together, all the prep that went into it, etc. I think the movie itself clocks in at about an hour 44. So it's definitely one of the longer films at the Cedar Rapids Film Festival, but certainly one of the ones that left an impression after I watched it. Now, I think I've said this for the other episodes I've posted in regards to this festival, and I have other ones that are coming outside of this one, but I really did love meeting and talking with all the people that I met at the festival. I really, really did. But if I'm being truly honest with everybody, I do think that this was one of my favorite conversations that I had at the festival. For one, both of these gentlemen are from Germany, and they're very German. I mean, true Germans, and the accents and everything. So on that alone, I think I was interested because my mom's side of the family is actually German, and we have history that goes far back into Germany. And it's just not every day that I get to actually spend time talking to someone that is a native of Germany and understands the country, the culture, and just everything with that. So Germany is a part of me, and getting to speak with someone that has so much history in that country, I found it to be very much an eye-opening experience for sure. I found Jörg and Bernd to just overall be fascinating people themselves. Each one of them really has a unique background and a path that led them to being involved with working on movies here in the state of Iowa. And I felt it was really fascinating not only listening to them talk about that journey to get here, but just their overall passion and attention to details when it comes to what I would call the smaller things in movies. They really have an eye for costumes, especially sound design, the actual practice of acting. They're both history buffs, so they have a lot to share as far as historical insights into that time period. And I also just really appreciated what they had to say about building trust with actors and the crew, the cast and crew, in order to deliver what's captured in the final product. And that last part especially, I think, really stands out to me because, excuse me, it really stands out to me because I think sometimes as audience members, just general audience members, we forget how challenging and difficult it can be for actors to truly bear themselves on screen for the sake of entertainment or just having the audience go through an experience, a shared experience at that. And I think a movie like this requires many of the actors to go to dark places. And these are places that I imagine are likely not a pleasure cruise to visit. So aside from knowing that, as an actor, that an audience is going to be watching you do this to yourself, the actors themselves also have to feel comfortable with those around them, being other actors, fellow cast and crew, the people that are lighting and doing the sound, etc. There's a lot of eyes on them, right? And many times these actors barely even know these people at all, or they maybe met them on the day and have to put themselves in that incredibly vulnerable space while still having a respect for everything that's going around them to make sure that the final product delivers. I really think the actors in Reveille do a good job of making the process of putting that emotional vulnerability out there being effortless and being truthful. But I really think it's anything but effortless. I mean, there's a lot of work and subtleties and nuances that go into putting performances like that out there. So all that being said, next time you see somebody have a cry on screen, they break down, they're expressing an insecurity or a vulnerability, just appreciate for one moment what it took for that person to get there. I know the actors do that work on these things, but I don't know if audiences always think about that. So think about that. All right. Last thing I'll say, and then I'll finally let this conversation play out so you can enjoy the rest of the episode, is that if you're looking to learn more about Reveille, you want to learn more about the cast or the crew or the production companies that were involved in the making of this, check out all of that in the description of this episode. It's all there. So with all that being said, just sit back, relax, and enjoy this conversation I have with Jörg and Bernd on the film Reveille. First, I gotta ask you, how do I pronounce the name of this movie?
You say it's Reveille.
Reveille?
Reveille.
Okay, because I definitely did not say it right the first time when I was reading it through the program. I appreciate both of you coming on, just taking the time to talk with me about your film. Could you just both introduce yourself for my audience and just let me know your name and what you did on this picture?
Mm-hmm. My name is Jörg Rochlitzer. I'm one of the executive producers of the film.
Well, pleasure to meet you.
One of them. So it's a team effort. So we had several executive producers. So we had Dr. Myra Miller, we had Bernd Wittenben, Mike Berg, and myself. Mm-hmm. And only the team effort made that picture actually possible. You need to find a good team that works together on it.
Absolutely. Well, welcome. And what's your name, sir?
Yeah, my name is Bernd Wittenben, and I'm one of the executive producers, but also one of the lead actors for that movie.
Were you the one that dies first in the cave?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. I actually thought that was you, but then I'm like, well, I don't want to assume too much just yet. But that's great. I mean, great job acting dead. I'm sorry, I'm going to talk about this and then we'll get serious, but is it hard being dead on camera?
I believe that it was the hardest part at all to playing dead.
Yeah.
Doing nothing, that's way harder than any interaction. Mm-hmm. That's really amazing. I did not expect that to happen. But
do you just have to hold your breath a long time to make it look like you're not moving?
Yeah, there's more to it. It's not just the breath and not moving, it's also your eyes. And to control your eyes is one of the toughest things I ever experienced in my life.
How did you do that?
Just by setting your mind to it.
You're just really, like, I'm dead.
Yeah,
I'm mega dead.
Yeah. So it was not easy. That was the tough part, yeah.
So tell me just about how this all kind of came together.
Mm-hmm. About 2 years ago, so we were contacted by the director Michael Ackerman, and we were contacted to with the request of the need for German advisors. So with that, at that time, we thought first, is this real? Because a guy from Hollywood is talking to us in here and saying, hey, you want to be advisor on a movie? So in my world, I thought, oh my God, that's a great chance, get an opportunity.
Sure.
Finally, so living the American dream, as somebody from Germany coming here. Mm-hmm. Then in that time, I couldn't believe it first yet. And it was just an amazing thing. And then I told my best friend Bernd here about this and said, I think we were just asked to be helping in a Hollywood movie, you know. So and then he first said, "Oh, I don't know what's this about or what is going on," you know. So actually, and then after we talked with the director about the script and what this movie is about, we got really interested in that, and to the point interested that we meant, that's a neat project to be part of it, because it's so unusual, it's so different, you know, to do. And then I had to leave for Germany as an advisor, and then Bernd was so kind to jump in that time, and he was offered an advisor, and this was the interesting thing. The director had drawings of how he envisioned certain characters.
Oh, so you had some storyboards?
Yep. And Bernd fit perfectly that character. So he did not just look like Walter Brandner. He was really authentic Walter Brandner in that, and that was just astonishing, you know. So, and then it was just a wonderful way how he developed that into that character, you know, being himself but being in Italy in that time period, being in that situation of that movie, and seeing that developing was an absolutely beautiful thing. Then what happened as a course of movies, you know, many movies in the end, they don't really turn out at all. 80%, they never happen, you know, so actually. Yeah. So, and there was a leadership change in the movie, and we didn't just be an advisor anymore. Now we found ourselves in executive producers in a Hollywood movie. Yeah. You know, and then so, you know, we really built a very strong team and pushed it forward, because, you know, we both were raised in a way, if you want to do something, if you want something, you need to go and get it. You know, so actually need to be a go-getter for that.
Absolutely.
And then we used, I don't know, maybe we call it a little bit of German engineering. You know, and a little bit, and with other producers and advisors to really get it off the ground and help to shape that.
Well, let me ask you both, because two questions is, one, it sounds like just from the beginning you had surprise about even the initial involvement with this. You're like, oh my God, they want us to actually take part in a movie. But then two, on the advisory front, what specific aspects of advisory did they seek your specific opinions on? I mean, like, why did they come to you, aside from just, you have amazing German accent?
Okay, the point is they looked for advice regarding the German uniforms and the German behaviors in 1943, and we are history buffs, and there is a background story to that. Because of that, they knew that we are history buffs. The other one was the language, actually. And Jörg, as well as me, we both are able to basically differentiate between all the German accents. And that's crucial in order to train an actor who is not native speaking German. And in the movie are only two actors who actually are native speaking Germans. All other German soldiers are Americans, and we trained them to be perfect for the movie, and we showed that movie in Germany to people, and they were not able to tell us which ones are Americans.
Really?
That far we got with them. And there's one very special thing about that training, because we use their natural abilities, and Jörg, you explained that.
So what we did, we when we were listening to the actors we casted, we were looking into and we're listening to them. And if one of the actors had a little bit of a German but sounded Bavarian, then we created a biography of this one coming from Bavaria. If it sounded more like Czech or Hungarian, then we added that to it. So we used what they brought to the table in their accent, and then intensified that and formed biographies and background stories and things to it. So it appears really that person could have lived in the Czech Republic, in that town, or somewhere in Bavaria, or somewhere by Berlin, or by Cologne, or in Saxony, and could been from that area. So we trained them to not just act to be that. These people are been the people in that situation in the 1940s.
How, I guess, like, you know, you said you both are history buffs, right? I mean, when does that start? I mean, like, has this just always been a passion of yours, history, specifically around World War II?
Mine goes back really to school. My best grades I had in history class. So really the best grade through was history class. So I really have a connection which goes way back there. I was in a German elite unit, had a lot of free time. I had a training as a machinist before I joined the elite unit. And I started to repair antique toys.
Okay.
And build replacement parts for them. Yeah, and so from there is really a connection. It goes to 1880 up to 1940. So the period between everything there is where my interest was always.
Did you have any family that served in the military or anything like that?
That's a very interesting part, because our movie is, you have seen it, our movie is not favoring any kind of the Americans or the Germans. It is really neutral there. It also does not bring out the classic things which you expect when Germans are involved in a war movie. You expect Nazi and anything about concentration camps and bad happens there. And you don't see that in our movie. We don't feed into these things which are bad German history. But what we do is we show the soldier. And one of the main reasons for me actually to take part of this movie was that Michael Ackerman from the beginning on had the idea he wanted to show the soldier, not the bad Nazi or not the Jewish killing German.
Sure.
He just wanted to show a German soldier. And I had actually 3 grandpas. One died early. My grandmother married again. So because of that, I have 3. One was a paratrooper, jumped over France, got shot through his foot, recovered, got to France, was to Russia, was captured there, got prisoner of war, came back from the war in 1954, was one of the last prisoners of war who came back from Russia. The other one was a field cook, got captured in Stalingrad, was for a very short period prisoner of war, and then he came back. And the third one actually, and that's very interesting, was a socialist. So he was a political enemy of the Nazis and ended up 3 times in a concentration camp.
Wow.
And he just survived because he was a damn good machinist, and they needed him for the tank production because he was able to run the machinery. That's why he survived. So that's a little bit my background I have there, and because of that I thought it's very good to have a movie which actually shows just the soldier and doesn't go into the evaluation for the really bad history Germany has, without question. Yeah? And we don't deny it. It's just not, we didn't make a movie about the Holocaust or what bad stuff happened in the concentration camps. We made a movie about soldiers which are fighting the war for their homelands.
I think it's refreshing on that front too, because you mentioned that most of the time if you see German World War II, you talk about those kind of, you know, the checks off the box, the Holocaust, you know, D-Day, Normandy, and the treatment of the Jews and everything like that. I'm somebody that, you know, not to like go on an anti-war tirade, but you did mention it in your Q&A that there's certainly an anti-war element to the movie.
Yes.
I always like think about it from like war from a soldier's perspective, because when they're down there, apart from wearing a different colored shirt, you're essentially doing the same things to each other, and like that doesn't make you like any better on that direct level. So seeing that in the movie was certainly interesting, because eventually I actually found, I'm realizing this just now talking about it, that the line kind of got blurred between German and Americans. Like it was, you know, pretty much like at that point they're just humans stuck in a cave trying to survive.
Right.
Have you acted before this project?
No, that is very, very interesting part.
This is your first?
That's my first time ever. I had to turn 59 until my dream as a child. As a little child, I had the dream to act in a movie, but I had to turn 59 in order to actually step the first time on the movie set and then also in front of the camera. Yeah.
And what was that like? Like day one when you're actually stepping in front of it?
Let's say it there. When we did this, finally, I were very well prepared. We worked very hard on getting ready for it.
Yeah, you mentioned a few months prior that there was extensive training.
Extensive training. Jörg coached me through a lot of things throughout my house where cameras set all over so that I got used to have cameras around me. Mm-hmm. Today I have the issue I cannot look into cameras anymore.
Really?
Because I'm so trained for it not to look in the camera. Yeah. So that was very intense. There's a very interesting story when Jörg quit coaching me, and I really like you to tell that because you experienced that even more than I did. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So our quality standard is that we don't want the actors actually just be acting. We want them to be themselves. And we found a very unique way to show emotions and how emotions are affecting. Mm-hmm. And what we did was an interesting situation. So we were training and on the porch, and Bernd was get into the role of Brander and dying in a cave.
Right.
And we have cats. So when he was so deep into it, mm-hmm. the cats, there was just a screen between the door and outside. Mm-hmm. The cats would cry and scream and be worried because they were worried he's dying.
Oh, wow.
And we know these, your pets, they feel that. They feel the vibration and the emotions of that. Mm-hmm. So only when he was really deep into it, they would do this.
Oh my gosh.
We knew actually when he wasn't there.
Yeah, you got the cat radar.
Then the cat radar, you know. So there was these cats were so when he was really deep into it, mm-hmm. then they would cry and be worried and stuff like this. And so what we did, we captured that momentum of what does it take to do this, and then we went deeper and deeper into the training to get him very strongly emotional.
And be able to call it at the moment, mm-hmm. because that's, I think, there's a big part is mm-hmm. for an actor is to call different emotional levels mm-hmm. at the time they are needed.
Yeah, lights, camera, action.
And that is what I learned throughout these things Jörg practiced with me there, to first find the source for an emotion, where can I pull it from? Mm-hmm. And okay, I'm 59. I have seen quite a bit of things throughout my life, right. And so I have to dig into my life and to look for situations where can I call an emotion I need. Pull it
if you had to describe that training a little bit, and I'm sure it's difficult to put some of that into words, but is there like a meditative aspect to kind of digging deep in there to find those things?
The first thing is what you do is basically you mm-hmm. Have to identify what kind of emotions you need.
Okay.
So that you mm-hmm. write down. And then when you have that down, then you know what you are looking for. Mm-hmm. And then it is up to there's two ways of going. One thing is that you look into your memories and create from there the point where you have an emotion like that and you can pull it from. Mm-hmm. Or if you do not have that, you create for you a memory mm-hmm. by just getting imaginative and bring yourself into a position where you have it, or you have a certain song or something what is triggering this certain emotional point. For me it was so I found nearly any emotion I needed throughout my life. So I really went into my life, I looked where did I have experienced something what would give me the emotion I need. Mm-hmm. And then when I had pulled that down, then I wrote that exactly down. And mm-hmm. that helped me when we were on the set mm-hmm. to pull the emotions when I needed them mm-hmm. and to go in. And then, of course, there comes a part where you have to train yourself that you not only know where these are in your memory, you have to train yourself that you are able to pull them up mm-hmm. and to really deliver to the spot. And that is quite intense, and there is indeed some kind of meditation that goes with it.
It is also, I have to imagine, because obviously there's cameras on you, you know, you have actors around you and they know what you're doing because they in their own way might be going through a similar thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you find that there's a sort of like a unique bond or kind of an unspoken understanding, if you will, of like, we know that we have to do this together?
Yeah, that's one. Let me do that, because this is really acting, and that was the part I was completely involved. from the first day, Kevin Sinek and Joni, which play both beside me and who both are more professional actors than I was at that point.
Yeah, all the performances were great.
Yeah, and they both really helped me. There was from the first day on a bond of trust. Mm-hmm. And the important part for an actor is he needs to let go from his own control. You have to go into the role. You have to give yourself to the role.
Yeah.
And you need to let go from your own control for your own emotions. You cannot bring your own emotions at that moment, and you have to bring in the emotions which are asked for your role.
Yeah.
And that you only can do when you are in an environment of trust. Mm-hmm. And there I must really say Kevin Sinek and then our Polish guy, Bart Wojtyla, they both from the first day on took me on their hand and they really helped me to get into it. Without them both, I would not have been able to deliver that performance. I must really say that.
No, like that's really wonderful that you can acknowledge that and be self-aware that you don't get there without the help of others.
Right.
And I think that's one of the most beautiful things about a movie like this is that people can go through a shared experience like that, and everybody's just wanting the truth of the moment. You know, they want it to be telling on camera, and they want audiences to feel what you are feeling in that scene. So, I mean, I think on that front, I mean, you absolutely, pun intended, but you killed it. Right?
Thank you.
Are you going to be doing any other parts?
We are not a war movie. We are right now preparing a movie for May.
Okay.
That is more entertaining. It's a feel-good movie.
Oh,
so
you
just
might
the
need
opposite.
that after this.
But we are planning another big movie for the summer of 24.
Okay.
And that will include again dying people and stuff. And it is again based on a true happening. And it is not a war movie. It's actually a movie placed in the United States in 1881.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
So we are going into the Western time. And it will include Indians. And real persons which had lived in 1881 and which we have documented and in the same quality like we did Reveille. Very strong researched.
One thing I wanted to talk about, and then I got another question for you as well, is I noticed during the Q&A you made a specific point to mention the sound design for the movie and how you're using like real gunfire and things like that. And I think you mentioned the tragic thing that happened on the set of Rust. Could you talk about that a little bit more? I mean, because it's just nice to hear. It was just nice to hear people talk about that because I feel like sound design sometimes in movies is greatly overlooked.
Yeah. So what we made sure that the movie set was absolutely completely safe. So with that, our armorers, they were highly trained and experienced people with armory and guns with that. We always we were joking around a little bit and saying, well, if our actors know one thing from the movie, they know how to do a safety check on a gun.
Yeah.
And what we did, we had original guns used in that time period. We had original ammunition from that time period because the 1940s bullet sounds different than the 1960s bullet.
How so? I mean, I wouldn't know the difference, but
manufacturing, different powder, different cap, different bullets, different casting, different material. It makes a difference. Are you shooting a bullet on top of a hill or in the valley? Yeah. Are you shooting a bullet in a forest or in a desert? How far is an artillery shell away? How does a machine gun sound like when it's a mile away or 2 miles away or 10 miles away? It makes a big difference. And it cannot just be an artillery piece. It needs to be an artillery piece from 1940s, not from the 1960s, 70s, or 80s. That sounds completely different.
Do you think that because of having that level of detail, even in that aspect of the authentic factor of this movie, just from performance-wise, I mean, like, do people feel that? You know, they can feel it in the air, quite literally.
You might have also recognized our movie is completely free of music. We do not have any music in it. We actually let the natural sounds plus the gun sounds tell the story, and we don't produce any kind of emotions for music, which you can do. Yeah,
right.
We do not do that. We let the picture speak for that. And that was wanted that way. We really wanted it as true as possible. The idea was to really deliver a picture of the soldier in war, the situation he is in. Because then somebody who views it can actually imagine what it is to be in a war.
Absolutely. Another question: how did you both find your way to Iowa and this festival?
Yeah. Originally, I'm originally from East Germany. I was born in the former East zone of Germany. By Chemnitz, Leipzig in Saxony, and before I came here, I worked for the European Parliament for several years, and then I met my godfather Burdett Walters. He invited me to come over on a longer vacation to come to Iowa, and I absolutely loved it here. The people are amazing. They're hardworking. They're easygoing. You can, if you have ideas, if you have visions, you want to do something. People here, they say, "Go for it. Do it. What do you need?
Right.
Yeah, come in.
They just want to help you.
Yeah, and have a cup of coffee. Let's talk about it."
Yes.
You know, and this friendliness and this open-mindedness for new ideas. This is perfect and ideal for creativity. You know, and that is and then, of course, wonderful friends, you know, like my best friend Bernd here, and also my colleagues at Ellsworth Community College and at Marshalltown, you know, where it's really a very fruitful environment where you can be creative, you know, and that is really that I wanted to be here and stayed here. Because the welcoming way of this area is just astonishing, you know.
I think that's nice to hear. I mean, I'm an Iowa native myself, but something I can share with you both. So I'm married, and my wife, she is from Brazil, and she immigrated here in February of last year, and she had lived in the States before and whatnot, but she does remind me that often, because as a native, you can sometimes overlook certain things in your homeland that you're not really thinking about. And she always tells me, you know, like the Midwest nice thing is true. Just kind of like what you said, everybody's willing to just have a cup of coffee and just kind of meet somebody and, you know, let them talk their ideas out and whatnot. And I do think that's unique for the space here. So it's nice to hear that from someone that's not originally from here.
My story starts with Bernd, which is one of the producers for Reveille. He has a very extensive collection of antique phonographs. And he was looking for somebody who can make replacement parts for these old phonographs, which you cannot buy anymore. And as I had mentioned, I had started to build for antique toys parts.
Yeah.
And he found me somehow, because I was not online about that. It was in Germany a community, they just knew me and they called me when they needed something, and then I took care of it. So he found me somehow, and he contacted me and invited me over. And I came over here, and then Cupid hit. You know how that goes. And from there on it developed. And then I came over here, started my business, what I had in Germany before. And
what was your business in Germany before?
I have a master's degree as a water landscaper, and I was building ponds, servicing ponds, and building ponds.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was that, and I started here the same thing. And pretty quickly it developed. They needed somebody who knows what he's doing. I have customers all over Iowa. Yeah, I sold now just this year my business. So I'm now retired. Yeah, so I have time for movies.
No, but that's cool though. I mean, I imagine that just through this festival experience, I mean, hopefully it's been rewarding. I've seen you guys have been talking to people. What's that been like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's it been like just talking with the other people that have watched your movie?
The one thing we learned very quickly, in order to make a movie, what you need is a network. And we had luck, we slipped into a kind of an existing network. But in order for us on our own now to proceed, we need to extend our network.
Sure.
And there is one thing, this festival here in Cedar Rapids, it means a lot to Jörg and me. In Germany there's an expression that says the artist doesn't count anything in his own city. So, and we won with Reveille awards all over the world, in the capitals of Europe and all. But Cedar Rapids is the first one actually in Iowa where we are now getting our foot down, and we got screened, and that was for me actually living the American dream.
Wow.
That our own community, and I see Iowa as our community, actually is recognizing us. Yeah, so that was a big deal. And the festival itself helped us here. We made so many contacts where we can build on our network, and we believe, Jörg and I, we are strong believers in teamwork and helping each other in order to get the craft of making movies ahead. And Iowa has a lot of potential, which a lot of people don't see, because there's often the talks about tax deduction in other states. What they always forget is that in other states, you need for everything a permit, you need for everything, or they know already that you can get tax permits, so the prices for everything you want to do are going up and stuff like that. And when you compare at the end of the day, you don't really save by go into the States. The only thing is you go away from home. And you have the opportunity to do here in Iowa movies. It's not easy, because movies always depend on money. If you don't have money, you cannot make movies. And I wish that Iowa, the government in Iowa would recognize that and give there also some kind of help for movie makers here. But before I go out of state and do a lot of costs and traveling and away from home and all of that, I can make movies here in Iowa. I could do more movies or better graded movies. I think that's the right term to say. I could make better graded movies if Iowa would give a little bit help to it. So that's a call in direction politics. Hey guys, we need a little bit help from you that we can really start to establish here a high quality movie industry.
And do you know if other states are more giving on that front on what you're talking about?
There is a list out there right now. I don't know it by calling it up, but there's 4 or 5 states which actually give really big tax incentives for filmmakers.
Yeah, it's something I'm actually quite mindful about, not just in the content creation realm, whether it's like podcasts and YouTube and whatnot, but like even independent filmmakers or just people striving to make a career, and a living in film. You got to have the money behind it, and you need to have people show up and support the stuff and not just pay to see the franchises that have $10 billion at their name and whatnot. So no, I think you're absolutely right about that, and people really need reminders about that sometimes, that these people don't just show up one day and make a movie. It takes so much logistics and legwork and people believing in one another to get it done.
Right.
So I'm really fortunate to talk with you both, and just happy to see that you have found people that are believing enough in you to get you to where you're at right now. I think that's really meaningful.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And what we also see, and I think I can say that maybe for Bernd probably too, see Iowa as our home.
Yeah.
And yes, it's great to do a movie maybe in south or north or east or west, but we live here in these communities around here.
Do you live in Cedar Rapids?
We live by Wellsburg.
Oh, okay.
By Iowa Falls, Wellsburg,
that's not that
area.
Far. Yeah.
So we're living in Iowa. This is our home, and if our ambitions and things moves Iowa forward, and it's wonderful people, then we have a win-win-win-win-win. So we can express our art. The state of Iowa is becoming a good reputation in the union, and then hopefully we can even motivate more good people to engage in films and make quality things, because we have everything here we need.
Let me ask you both this, and then we'll start to wind this down, because I know the award ceremony is going to be starting shortly, and I know you both don't want to miss that.
No, that's true.
But let me ask, if you both had to just tell people out there what they could do to support films like this or inspire others to get involved with projects like this, what would you tell them?
Okay, most movie makers in some form try to do crowdfunding. That's one thing. So if you get aware of a movie which is supposed to be produced in your area, try if you can find a homepage. Usually there's somehow a link where you can give a little bit money to it. Often it's also very helpful just when you are on the set that some people supply things like water or certain kind of food or stuff like that. Sometimes it's the small things which really can help to get a movie on the road. Yeah.
Yeah, what would you say?
I would say what's very important is actually, of course, a local support by communities. Would also be an interesting thing to create some sort of fund and investment opportunities, maybe some tax incentives as well. So we were very lucky. We had some good support with local colleges as well. Maybe supporting education. Especially so wonderful people like our friend Dylan, who is here as well, gets the support he needs, to choose that career and produce with us high quality movies. So it's a mix out of supporting the educational efforts, giving people a chance to live their vision. So to support with that.
I think. Very last thing, I have a bad tendency of saying this when I'm having a good conversation, it's hard to not keep it going a little bit, but I will absolutely say that people just need to support stuff like this, and I also just think hearing about the educational side, that's the point I was trying to get to. It's an excellent thing that you just said, because a lot of people can stand to learn a lot, I'm sure, by working on a set. I know, I'm the podcast guy right now, but I'd love to be a part of something like that too, even if it was just to bring you a bottle of water. I'm like, hey, I'm doing something to help. But there's tremendous learning value, I think, to be had from the business of making movies, both in front of the camera and behind it. And there's a lot of those traits and skills that will extend beyond that world as well. So I definitely agree with you guys on that. But very swear to God, last thing, where else could people watch this movie if not at the Cedar Rapids Independent Film Festival?
Currently, so the movie is with our distributor, Buffalo 8. So Buffalo 8 is currently in the process of negotiating with streaming services in future.
Okay.
So some of the bigger ones, hopefully. So we're thinking about in the next couple months it should be out, actually, so people can watch it on some of the streaming services.
Okay. Well, I'll definitely put as much as I can in the description for this episode so people can find it and share it and kind of just discover it. But this was a real treat, guys. I really appreciate this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Do you think you're going to win tonight? I don't know how many awards they're giving away, but I got to put you on the spot a little bit.
There's a lot of good movies here, and they will make the decision, and we will be happy for whoever wins. Because there's great movies, and at the end of the day, every one of has his art. You have pictures from Van Gogh, and you have pictures from other artists. And there's people, they like that picture. There's other people, they like that picture. That's okay. That's good, because that's what art is about. And you just let it come. If we win, we will be very happy. If we don't win, we will be very happy for the one who wins it.
Well, I think we're all winners right now for having this conversation. So,
thank you very much.
All right.
One thing what I really appreciate of all the movie makers who came here this time is the following. We all have one wonderful things in common. We all finished the projects.
Right.
We brought it to the finishing line. We made it. And you don't just make a movie once. You make it twice. You make it 3 times. And even more times, from creating to making to editing to all of these kind of things. And everybody here who came so far finished the project, because you have to have the dedication to make it done and finish it.
I think you just finished on a high note, and we're going to end right there.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate this.